Anything that was actionable, we'll actually be voting on during the personnel report. We're going to go back into closed session once the open session concludes, and after that closed session, there won't be any actions of the board. We're still preparing for a superintendent process, basically, and we need to chat about such things. There's no action taken after the second. All right, let's open with the pledge. Stand together. Attention, salute. Pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're going to silence. Thank you very much. Sorry we're running a little late. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. We are here to accomplish the business of school for our students. The board does want to hear from the members of the public. However, comments have been limited to provide equity to all speakers and to ensure the meeting is reasonable in length. It has been brought to my attention that there are concerned constituents that even though we've asked speakers to limit their comments to 3 minutes, that has not been effective. We will therefore ask that all comments from this point forward be respectful of that limit. If you have more information that can be delivered in 3 minutes, please provide leave behind materials for the board. Ms. Rogers, the clerk of the board, will be our timekeeper and let the moderator know when the comments are reaching or exceeded their limit. If you have questions during the session, you may ask a representative or a school administrator for clarification after the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming. Is there a motion concerning the adoption of the agenda?
I move we adopt the agenda as amended.
Second.
We amended it. What did we amend?
We're going back to closed session.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on there.
Return to closed session.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
it's on there, so we don't need to. All right, so the motion, is there a motion to adopt the agenda as it stands? We have a motion, Mr. Rose, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Johnson, all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. Donations.
Yes, I have 4 to report. I have 2 from PTO. The first one is for $582. This was used to purchase Tuesday folders for the students at the elementary school. The second one from the PTO was for cupcakes and paper products for the 7th grade graduation. The Rappahannock County Lions Club donated $130 for the boys basketball clinic. And the last donation was from the Rappahannock retired teachers, and they donated school supplies to the elementary school.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Concerning the minutes of 2 meetings, May the 9th and May the 23rd, is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
I have a motion, Mr. Crowe, second from Mr. Rue. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Opposed, no? Ms. Johnson, did you review the bills? I should know you did.
I reviewed the bills.
Of all the things we talk about, how come it never comes up? You reviewed the bills.
But they have my approval now, they'll give me yours, so you pay.
Thank you very much. We have a consent agenda which contains an approval of the donations, the payment of the bills, personnel report, attendance report, and homeschool student report. Also want to add, so during the personnel report, the board also, in Dr. Blair's original agreement, at the end of it, it states, if there's a need to extend this agreement, the board is at liberty to do such a thing, and we're at a point where we know that we're going to need Dr. Blair for at least another month, and he agreed to hang around. He's having too much fun, and so that is part of our personnel report as well. The personnel report contains coaches and what other types of things? Substitute teachers, some new hires, and some vacancies, middle school math, high school English, and the social worker position. Is there another? I think I'm right. All right. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, Ms. Johnson, second, Mr. Uben. All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. Dr. Blair?
Sir.
The floor is yours.
It is.
Yours now.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, first order of business is VSBA policy updates. We went through those last month. The first 10 are basic legal or cross-references updated reflect amendments to the Code of Virginia, United States Code. That's conflict of interest, disclosure statement, personnel policy goals, professional staff grievances, suspension of staff members, guidance and counseling program, student conduct on school buses, student records, community use of facilities, and advanced alternative course for credit. There were 6 policies that required guidelines, rules, procedures. These are normally not needed in approval by the school board, but as we approve the policies, then the division we write guidelines. The student transportation services sent you ahead of time, regulation EEAR. The free reduced lunch prices, EFB. We follow federal guidelines, so there was no requirement for any additional guidelines. The student wellness, JHCF, remain the same. All you had previously come up with the guidelines. The meal and snacks, JHCH, page 2, we highlighted for you. There were 2 changes. First change is students may charge no more than $10 their accounts. And the second change, if payment of a negative balance is not received within the school year in which it was incurred, the debt will be turned over to the superintendent or my designee for collection if the debt is not paid within 180 days of notice. Being given is considered bad debt for purposes of federal law concerning unpaid meal charges. Student transcripts, JOA, we added a regulation as required, and I went ahead and added that to it. You've already read that, so I don't think I need to read that again. KG, community use of facilities, we already have guidelines, so we didn't have to do anything there. GAH, conflict of interest, copies will be given to all employees, and the revision to reflect changes made to Virginia Board of Education Charter School application went from 4 to 13 pages. So after we laid those over for a month, I would ask, unless you have any questions, that you approve those.
Now, these were presented to us last. It's our intention to approve these tonight.
Yes, sir.
Are there any questions from the board regarding any of these?
Thank you very much. 5.2, last month, you don't hear me? Okay. Well, good. Okay, you can hear me.
Sitting right here.
Okay. Last month, we had a wonderful presentation from Y Street about changes to policy about tobacco use. I've looked at that policy. I've given the board the policy in red, the proposed changes. I do have some questions I'd like to talk to the organization about. The VSBA policies, when we get those, they're based on law. And when we approve those, we're updated and we're in concurrence and we abide by the law. So when we get another update, they send us a boilerplate that basically has any cross-outs, anything's added, is underlined. If we change the policy, then we've got to go back, and this changes everything we do with VSBA with this. And I do have a couple of questions. Some of it, I think, I'd like to know how we would enforce that. In the first paragraph in red, they talk about no tobacco use at school-sponsored activities away from school grounds. And I don't know how to enforce if we go have an athletic contest somewhere else, then I've got to send an enforcer go around and make sure there's no tobacco use. Or in someone else's building with different policies, I'm not sure that's appropriate, nor do we have the personnel to do that. Also, after A, B, C, D, E, in addition, no student shall be permitted to possess a tobacco product under the circumstances, etc. And then the last line on that paragraph, are including while on school property, on school premises, at school-sponsored activities away from school grounds, or at any other time that students are under the authority of school personnel. And I couldn't think of any other time they're under the authority of school personnel. If it's away from school, at school, school-sponsored activities, that's all I could think of. So my question would be, what else is there? I would need an example. Interestingly enough, to show my age, number 2, they talked about anything that looked like tobacco, including cloves, any other product that was taken out by Y Street, and I guess cloves isn't in anymore. I don't know, but I guess at one time people were either rolling or smoking, do something with cloves, like cooking. So I'm not sure why that was taken out. What I do like in this is the increased signage around the schools, whether it's small like that or the larger posters. I think that would be wonderful if they would sponsor that. One of my suggestions would be for Y Street to go ahead and contact the VSBA and see if we could do maybe a statewide change in all this. There are several school divisions they talk about in here that already made the change, and I admire them for that. I'm not sure I see the difference in with the first, with some of that verbiage in here. They've kind of said the same thing in different ways. So I do admire the student that gave the presentation. It was outstanding, and I really agree with 110%. The only thing I would ask the board is to make a decision. There's one line that says, the school board may direct the superintendent to issue regulations designating smoking areas on school grounds and outside buildings. I'd rather just say no smoking anywhere, in any facility, on any grounds. To wrestle with that, I think Mr. Tupper, Mr. Burley could speak to football games better than I could, but I think it can be a problem. So I would really support no tobacco use at all at any facility in and out. You know, people come to play, adults, they go to a basketball game, halftime comes, they want to go outside. If we say, when you leave, you can't re-enter the building, that kind of takes care of that. I do like some things it says, but I'm partial to remaining part of the official VSBA policies and getting some answers to these questions. So I would ask that we lay this over for a month, can follow through and get some answers, or I can take any questions you may have.
That'd be good to find out if the SBA has any recommendation on it.
Are they following this program with the VSBA?
Phone book program.
The one that presented?
The Y Street?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I sent this to Elizabeth Ewing, the VSBA attorney. She had some questions. So I said, well, let me get back to you on some of those. And I think she was concerned about some of the verbiage, seemed to be redundant. Plus, she asked me the same question. She said, how are you going to enforce activities away from school? I said, well, I don't know. I was wondering the same
How are you
thing.
going to enforce it on school grounds with somebody with tobacco in their cheek? You know, who's going to be the tobacco cop? I mean, I don't chew, and I haven't spoken 25 years, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of people that do, especially here, unfortunately. I think information campaign is probably the most important thing we would do. I go to lots of basketball games, and I don't see anybody going out in the parking lot and grabbing a smoke at halftime.
Okay, cool.
I really haven't. Football, I've never seen anybody grabbing a smoke. But there'll be people chewing. For sure. That's just my point.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see how we can enforce it.
Well, there's no action.
Signage is a great thing to have.
Okay.
So it may not be ready to vote on next month, based on the number of changes that we already see. But certainly,
Yes.
I don't want to run around enforcing it now, but I mean, at the play itself, there was 5, 6 people coming in, coming out, trying to get back in. They're out, as Ted said, going outside and smoke football games when I work on. You find at least 2 or 3 or 4 in the parking lot. I
Sitting in
didn't
the
order
car,
smoking.
sitting in the car.
So, but 50-50, we're gonna tell the kids they can't, and we shouldn't have anything else to do.
Well, I think we say no tobacco use on school grounds, like no alcohol use on school grounds. Well, let it go with that. I mean, if you see, if you catch somebody, you deal with it from there.
the thing I thought was significant about this, it opens the aperture a bit as far as what a tobacco product is.
Yes.
So that might be the actual game. So I guess we'll be reviewing it until it gets into the form that we think it will work for this practical.
What's the Bible? Jesus. B-I-G-I-S.
They are, I'm trying to remember, I looked it up.
God, I'm old too.
Here, let me, I got one. Let me show you.
I don't remember, I looked it up. I didn't know what it was, I'm trying to remember.
All right, so it needs work.
The young people out here know what that is?
Won't do.
There's some hand roll kind of thing from Middle East. I think.
All right. Ready to move on?
Yes.
Yes.
We have a presentation about federal and state programs. Ms. Rensley?
Good evening.
Evening.
It is my pleasure to bring you the annual report of our awesome and exciting federal programs, Title I and Title II and Title III. I want to go to the next slide. Just a quick overview of what these federal programs do. They come with a lot of red tape compliance protocols for usually not a whole lot of money, which is the way it usually works. But they do provide another avenue that we can provide extra services for students that are not readily available or accessible in our current budget or our local funding. So Title I, Part A, is improving basic programs. So that provides assistance for at-risk student populations. And that funding formula varies, and it usually has a lot to do with free and reduced lunch. Title II is your teacher and principal training programs, and the money we get from there provides assistance with tuition and our professional development programs. And Title III is our language instruction for our ESL students or limited English proficient students. So of course, we need to really understand compliance protocol and make the most of the little bit we do get because of all of those compliance protocols we have to follow. So in Title I, we use these funds each year to provide 100% of our salary for our reading and math interventionist. We also provide a percentage equivalent of Title I duties to paraprofessionals who help in classrooms. It varies every year. So every year, as Karen's making her schedule for Title I, she'll tell me, okay, this teacher, this paraprofessional is working this percentage of the day. This is what we have to write into the grant, and that's what how we kind of spell that out. Title I reading and math aids. So this year, I think we supported 7 paraprofessionals across different grade levels to provide those supports. And it provides partial salary for those duties and also health benefits. So that helps out. We also use Title I funds to purchase online intervention programs for our struggling readers and those struggling in math. And also the Read Across America Week. And for this past year and this year coming, we're going to use some of that funding to help our interventionist get her reading specialist master's. So that money has been focused there too. So all of that for the great price of $174,000 to about $180,000 a year is what we get for Title I to support all of that. So not quite a lot when you think of all that. All right, so Title II, this is the really fun one. Because, we're in education, so we're one of those neat professions where we require all of our staff to be very highly qualified, have pretty much the most education you need in any field, sometimes even more than medical professions.
Yet a lot of school districts do not provide much assistance with that. So Rappahannock is a little bit different in that we've had a lot of support from the board and community in trying to provide programs for teachers to acquire additional endorsements or master's programs. So our Title II initiatives provide all of these things here. Tuition assistance, we've had a Regent Administrator virtual cohort finishing up this summer. 1,600 tuition assistants that's specified for goal-oriented programming. So those, if you require tuition assistance, you have to go through an approval process, and as long as it aligns with your job duties and goals, that so we wouldn't have a teacher getting a master's to be, an underwater basket weaver or something. So we have to make sure it aligns with our goals. We provide, and this is everything we did this year: Google Educator training. We had CTE New Teacher Institutes, Media Specialist coursework, ELL endorsement coursework, and one I wanted to highlight this year was a master's cohort that we're planning on starting this August. And with this money, you don't have quite a lot. You see, $1,600 for tuition assistance has to be specified because, we couldn't have all 170 people that work for us apply for that and have it through federal funding. That's just quite a lot of money. But on the other hand, we have this requirement for our teachers to be very highly qualified and reach those higher levels of education. So we really have done a lot over the past few years to work some negotiations with universities like Radford and Regent to provide master's programs through sort of an instructor fee consortium type agreement. And using federal funding for these, we buy slots in the program rather than just provide direct assistance to teachers. So for instance, the EMU cohort that finished last summer, we had 6 teachers get their master's free for them. And we've had others, like the Regent one, providing some assistance through federal funding, some portion coming from the administrators participating in it, but a great discount. So this Averett one coming up in August, Averett University has decided to come on board with us. Averett University, and they are going to offer a master's degree in 3 different areas for 8 of our teachers who have signed up. And over the course of 3 years, all we're going to use is $39,000 from federal funding, and a very small portion, 2 of those participating. So that's a creative way to use Title II funding over the years to create a cohort that will actually benefit us in the long run and benefit our teachers as part of it. And the next one I want to highlight, stay on this slide though, 1 second. Okay. The other one I want to highlight, you might remember that the one in the bottom right-hand corner, the LFCC Education Consortium, Lord Fairfax Community College. A few years ago, through meaningful consultation process, this is one of those red tape things you have to go through for federal funding. You have to have meaningful consultation with all the private schools in your serviceable area to make sure that your federal funds also cross the lines into the private schools, because we all service kids in the county, so it's all the same goal. So these federal funds can be accessed by your private schools. So through meaningful consultation, there's a set-aside amount in Title II funding. Okay, and that set-aside has to be, set aside for private schools to access for teacher professional development and whatever else is aligned with their needs assessments. But through meaningful consultation, we found out Wakefield had a decent chunk of that set-aside money. Hearthstone, on the other hand, had a small chunk. So while Wakefield could access those funds to send maybe a few teachers to AP training, Hearthstone could maybe get a couple books out of it and do a PLC or something like that. So they saw kind of a disparity and inequity in what we could do. So through just talking to each other, and we found a way to combine into a consortium. They sign over the set-aside money back to me as a fiscal agent, and we can participate in the Lord Fairfax Education Consortium, which was then too expensive for us to just do on our own. But if you add in all the private school people, then it makes more sense. And then they give us over the set aside and everybody participates. So it's a great agreement. I know Jessica Lindstrom has pitched the model to some of her national groups for independent schools, and that's being very well received. And I know DOE here really likes the model too, so we may get to talk about it sometime at one of their meetings. So a couple things going on. So you have a catalog about what's offered to teachers, and these are all free of charge for all teachers in the county, so also private schools who sign on. Yes? Okay, next slide. Title II also provided assistance and paid for registrations and travel expenses to all of these conferences this year. So those past 2 slides were pretty much everything we accomplished this past year with Title II money, and for all of the huge amount of $34,000. So by coming up with those agreements and collaborating, and we get to use that little bit of money to do a whole lot. And you kind of have to, because that's not a lot when you consider the 1,600 tuition assistance. So very excited about Title II programs. Okay, in Title III, our language acquisition, we are too small to receive Title III money from the state directly. We have to join a consortium with other small districts to get sub-grants of less than $10,000. And some people say, wow, that's not a lot. Why do you have to go through all this compliance protocol? Well, it's also federal law because it's civil rights, so it kind of crosses over there. So even if you said no to the money, you still have to follow all of the guidelines. So by joining the consortium, we did get about $1,400 more than we did by not. So it helps. Hey, we actually changed a couple lives this year with that money. We had some students kept coming in that spoke no English. The parents didn't speak any English, and they have to access the curriculum. We were able to purchase some iPads for those students with translators so they could talk to their friends. The family got Rosetta Stone and learned how to speak some English to communicate with us. So, $2,000 can change a life if you bring it the right way. So, Title III programs. So that's what we did with our federal programs this year. We'll continue on that path, supporting those goals, and of course making the most of our money for our students. Have any questions about those? I'll ask for your signatures on those front pages so that we can approve those and get it in the system for reimbursement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. The summer reading is always great because you have these end-of-the-year reports that show all the things you're doing. The next one I'm really excited about are preliminary SOL scores, and Ms. Bolt's going to talk about that.
I'll do it. I'm just going to stand up here and do it. Again, these are preliminary scores. All the online tests have been taken in all the content areas, but we still have some paper tests that haven't been returned. And some of our VGLA and our VAPs, we haven't got the scores back, so they're definitely preliminary. But worst case scenario, we're still looking for it. So, the elementary school, I always like to do last year's and this year's just for comparison. And I think everyone is very proud of the great job the teachers and students did at elementary school to rise up in the reading category. I mean, that was a lot of hard work on their part. 84% for math, 88% for history, and 85% for science. Now, you look at science and you say, that's a 13% drop, but your cohort of students makes a difference.
Well, you're comparing apples and oranges.
Right, and it's just one class we're testing.
It could be 2 kids.
Exactly. Your average class size is between 60 and 70, so a couple students makes a big difference. So we're still happy with these scores. It's 70% for accreditation for everything but reading, which is 75%, which we have that well in hand. So kudos to the administrator, teachers, and students at the elementary school. They did a great job. And then the high school, 83% for reading, 83% for math, 93% for history, 92% for science. And again, your cohort of students, but they meet all the requirements for federal and state accreditation. Now, this does not break down the subgroups, and like our EL students are too small to count against us. So we've got to wait and see how that all plays out. And with the Every Student Succeeds Act that is coming on board, they still haven't nailed down what accreditation is going to look like. So until we get the firm, this is what it is, I cannot figure it out. But as of right now, we are looking very, very good.
How long till you'll have a firm number? A couple months?
We'll get it in September.
September.
Is when they're shooting for it. But with ESSA not being nailed all the way down, September, am I right, Shannon? September is when the state of Virginia has to give the federal government their plan. So it's all still up in the air with going from
No Child Left Behind to every student succeed. But we will be good, we're actually on a 3-year cycle now because we got full accreditation. But I would hope, and I'm sure everyone agrees with me, that we want to keep the high standards. You know, just because we have it for 3 years, we still want every student to
And
do
the first
that.
look looks really good.
Excuse me?
First look looks really good.
It looks very, very good. And the high school, again, should be congratulated. Teachers, students, everyone worked very hard.
Great.
So we're looking good. See, I like to bring happy news, you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item is an update on these school security projects we're involved in. We've completed several of them. Noticed some where we propane tanks, auxiliary gym camera, no cost. We provided large monitors, videos for the SRO office. They've been completed. The slider in both schools has been completed. Visitor login, the listing of badge holders, the electrical outlets for the porticos, the gate coming from Flatwood. We have some other estimates, and it's really going to be up to the superintendent of the board to look at what comes next. And I wanted to talk about that just for a couple of minutes. We have interior gates at the schools. It could be as much as $25,000 depending on how many gates and where they're located. We're still discussing that. The start bar gates at the fire lane, $1,120. Barrier poles around the propane tank, somebody can back into it, $1,600. Alarm exterior doors, $7,000. Speed bumps, the elementary school, $1,080. Camera repairs, $1,494. A panic button per school, and that means that if we have an intruder, they can press a button and it goes directly to the sheriff's office, so there's no delay in getting help. We don't have those right now. The fence at the high school, originally $10,671. Ms. Bolt and I went out there earlier in the week, well, late last week, and I looked at, can we modify that and just do fencing on both ends of the football field and not do the whole thing? And that comes to about $6,000. So you're not really saving that much to put the whole thing in there. Bus cameras, the Director of Transportation came to us and talked about the need for cameras for the buses. To do all the buses that we need is $13,000. We don't have all this money. So you see the funding source halfway down is blank. So before we do any more of those, I need to come to the board and talk about funding sources for these. I think they're important, and we'll probably, you all as a school board will have to sit down and look some priorities for what you'd like to be done now and maybe during the year next year. We can't do it all at one time. We could certainly look at donations and fundraising. Obviously, I think they're all important. The cameras for the buses, Kathy, Ms. Jones, you may want to speak to this a little bit, but they're much better than we have now, much better resolution. Some of our buses have cameras, some don't. I think we really need those. For extra money, which would be nice, there's an exterior camera, so if somebody blazes past the bus, not only does it get the license number, it also gets facial recognition, which I think would be important, but again, that's very costly, and we don't have that kind of money. So I think as we set priorities, when you look at fencing for the high school, bus cameras, etc., then we need to look at setting priorities and figuring out with end of year money what we can do if we have any left over, and that'll be our next meeting, and see what we can come up with. So I'm kind of passing the torch to the board to look at what we can do next, and I'll continue to do this with your blessing, and I don't know if there's any discussion this evening, but I think as you come see me individually or send an email about what you think should happen, we can move forward, but I think they're important. Any questions?
Issues, I guess. Say, I don't remember proving any of these. I think that was because we were in a situation where we were going to do something.
Right.
And again, I've read numerous studies and numerous reports, and I want to talk to you earlier about And the biggest deterrent to any kind of issue is kids respecting the adults in the school and adults listed as kids. That's the biggest concern. All the gates and the, I don't know, you read the front page of the Post this week, Sunday. Somebody drove through a fence with a Dodge pickup truck and shot up an elementary school in Kentucky, a couple of months ago. So, I understand the need to be prudent, and I understand the need to be careful. I think we need to put as much money into staff development and student contacts as we put into these techniques. Interior gates, you use those once a week, maybe. If we have an event. But I'm not sure that's what they're going to do. Fire lane stop bars, I'm not sure what that's going to do. These are the kind of things that I guess say we're not a welcoming institution.
Well,
That's my point.
when you go to basketball games and you look at the cameras and you see people that we don't know who they are or the background walking over to school, this is the only place I've been in many, many years where people have run to the school and there's a basketball game. I don't think it's wise. I don't think it's healthy. I think it puts our students at risk if they grab somebody and cart them off. I mean, that's not good. We don't do a background check. We don't do a criminal check when they come in for a basketball game, and I think that an athlete has to have limited movement. We don't have that here. And I don't like it. Sorry. I mean, I just,
Well, I understand.
you know, I think that it's a
I'm not
dangerous
sure.
thing to do.
I'm not sure what the thing you're supposed to put your driver's license in.
Mhm.
Yeah, where's my driver's license? You gotta let them in. I mean, there's lots of people. I mean, seriously.
Lots of people don't have driver's license.
I would imagine there are a lot of people without driver's license.
They shouldn't be driving, how they get here?
Well, somebody brought them. They came with their father.
Always have a
And their father will have a driver's license to pick.
But the other person won't. The sister won't. I mean,
Who doesn't carry their driver's license? I mean, you need it for a lot of things. It's not gonna stop every single thing. It's not.
No.
You're correct, nothing will.
No.
But you have a security system, like you do in your houses or your businesses. It doesn't go off every single day. But you have it there because what? Because you want to protect your family, you want to protect your belongings, you want to protect your whatever's important to you. We have here the most important thing in the whole county.
I agree with you.
We have those kids. Why would we not take these steps? It's a once paid for thing and put it in place. If I come to her house, the first thing I look for is what's a threat to me? Is there a big chain on the porch like she has a pit bull sitting outside? Is there food dishes? Is there, broken glass? Start looking for things. Would it keep me from coming in the house? No. But is it going to make me hesitate? Is it going to make me second guess myself? Yes, it is. The Aurora shooter drove by 2 other movie theaters to go to that one because no one could carry a gun there. If our school is wide open and the one down the road in Warren County isn't, which one are you going to go to? If it's hard for me to get into here, I'm going to go to the one that's not. Nothing will ever stop everybody. I could crash the truck through the front door and go crazy too. But the harder it is for me to get in or to get access, the less likely you are. The closer you live to the fire department, the less your insurance is because you're that closer to help. The more resources we have, pray to God, the less chance we have of if the incident does occur, the further it's going to go. The gates keep you from coming in. I mean, when I work the play, people are, why can't we go around the back wall? Why can't we go see what's going on? If I wasn't there, they do walk down there. We've come in here for things before to, let's go see what's happening at the school, and there's people down here walking around. We've had people pop in here in the middle of the night, and the maintenance man locks himself in the closet and calls us because somebody's in the building walking around. The fence back here, that's where I would come and go if I was going to do something. And right now we have kids at games that wander off into these woods and come back at the last one I'm working, hey, we found a snake. Who's liable for that? Are we? Who's liable when somebody gets drug off in the bushes? There was a school I don't think it was Orange, it was down that way, just a couple of years ago, where two men went into the school and that child was inappropriately touched in that school. We better lock these doors. Rappahannock should be, I mean, it's not personal, Rappahannock should be open and friendly. It is a great place to live. Lady of the day in Seville's bought the last pizza and offered the next guy in the line, you can have some if you want it, I'm real sorry. It's a great place, everybody's really friendly. But we can't ignore the fact that not everybody else thinks like we do, not everybody else enjoys it. And you lock your, I hope you do, you lock your doors at your home, you lock your car doors. Some of you have security systems, we go to them all the time when there's a storm, because they're going off.
Yeah, I know, I go to them too.
But why would you not do that here?
I think the challenge, I believe that as we approach the end of the year, we are going to have money, and we need to help with prioritization. So if you're looking at this list and there are things that you believe would have a specific impact, prioritize them so that when we get closer to the very end of the month, we know what we're able to commit to with whatever funds we have remaining. We had talked at a previous meeting about how we would try to use end of year money. The windows, we've been talking about the windows for 10 years, right? So the windows and trying to bring that thing to completion is a no-brainer. But security seems to be the other area where I believe the community would be behind anything that we tried to do to secure this facility for the state students. So figure out over the next week where your priorities are and communicate them to Dr. Blair so that you'll know how to.
So we're gonna talk about that as a board, or we just gonna?
I think we send him some priorities because I think only 3 of us are actually in the county during the end of year meeting. So whoever gets finalized at that point gets finalized.
What's the day, the 29th, is that right?
Yeah.
30th. The 30th.
Friday.
So figure out what you think the priorities are. Let's send a note to Dr. Blair so that he knows whatever we have left, we're focusing on security. We've got a good list to start with. And then whatever we don't get finished, if it's still important to us, we look at it next year.
All right, the next 2 presentations are one related to Rappahannock Athletics, our year in review, and also our Safe Sports School Award. So folks, come on up. This is always wonderful.
Good evening. I think we had a great year this year in athletics, and I just kind of listed it out by seasons, and I'll start with the fall season. I'm going to start with cross country, and I'm going to kind of go by sport. In cross country, our girls and boys teams both finished second in the conference. Had multiple all-conference runners: Gavin Jenkins, Sam Barnes, Jordan Rector, Dalton Renner, Glendon Demery, Justin Ramey, Jacqueline Humphreys, Mackenzie Honnold, Savannah Hensley, and Danielle Bryant, which is a pretty good representation of our cross-country team at the conference level. The girls team finished third in the region, and they advanced to the state tournament. The boys team did not advance, but we did have two young men that advanced on individual times, Sam Barnes and Gavin Jenkins. They also qualified for the state tournament, where Gavin Jenkins was crowned our state champion. He was also our Conference 43 champion and our Region 1A champion, and he was also runner of the year for each one of those respective areas. Middle school volleyball, they won their regular season and tournament champions in the Valley Middle School Conference League. Football had the best record in school history at 6-4. We also had a couple young men that made all-conference teams, which was pretty exciting. Walter Burke was honorable mention at the guard position, and Jack Massey was honorable mention at quarterback and linebacker. He was first team as a kicker. Varsity volleyball, I guess everyone's heard about those guys. That's half of their page here with all of their awards. They were remarkable, 27-0. They've gone 50-1 in the last 2 years, which is pretty impressive. They're once again our Bull Run District champions, our Conference 43 champions, our Region 1A champion, and our state champion. All district team for Bull Run District with first team Julia Estes and Kayla Roby. Second team Brianna Settle, Amber Smoot, and the district player of the year was Julia Estes. They do not do a coach of the year on the district level, but I can only imagine it would have been
Compensate for that.
Courtney Atkins. Yes, we're going to issue got quite a few accolades at the end of the year as well. Then we moved on to conference. First team, Julia Estes, Kayla Roby, Brianna Settle, Jessica Thorne. Second team conference for volleyball is Amber Smoot. Conference player of the year, Julia Estes. Conference coach of the year, Courtney Atkins. Our region team, first team, Julia Estes, Kayla Roby, and Brianna Settle. And the region 1A coach of the year was Courtney Atkins. And then the all-state team was first team, Julia Estes, Kayla Roby, Brianna Settle, and 1A state player of the year was Julia Estes. The 1A coach of the year was Courtney Atkins. And then on the 13th of July, the Virginia High School League Coaches Association has their all-star game where the East plays against the West. And Kayla and Julia will be participating on that all-star team, which will be coached by Courtney. So if you can get to Christopher Newport,
Where's it gonna be?
it's going to be at Christopher Newport, and they have not set a time yet. So I'll let everyone know once we figure that out.
They only need to practice at one morning together.
They get a little bit of practice, literally a little bit,
July-
maybe an hour.
July 13th?
July 13th, I think it's a Thursday at Christopher Newport. Theater was second in state, and Trustin Murrow was recognized as outstanding actor on the region level. So that's pretty impressive for them as well. We'll move on to winter sports. Not as long of a list, but still a good season. Scholastic Bowl finished third in the state. Middle school girls basketball was their regular season runner-up and the tournament runner-up. Middle school boys basketball was their regular season and tournament champion. Varsity girls basketball had a pretty good year. We had 8 wins total in the Bull Run District. Kayla Roby was selected first team and Julia Estes was selected second team. Conference 43 team was Kayla Roby first team, Julia Estes second team, and Olivia Atkins second team. And then varsity wrestling, we had Chris Coleman, who won a state championship in the 145-pound weight class. And then Johnny Beard was the runner-up in the 182-pound weight class. And I'm going to list some other ones because they all placed, which was pretty remarkable as well. Quentin Woodward, 120 pounds, 4th place. Hunter Nicodemus, 113 pound, 5th place. Mark Guerrero, 126 pounds, 5th place. Sam Barnes, 138 pounds, 5th place. Jake Sisk, 195 pounds, 6th place. So it's a pretty impressive showing by our wrestling team as well. And we've been through 2 seasons so far, and we've had state champions in both of them, with volleyball and then with wrestling. So we'll move on to spring. Middle school girls soccer, they won 1 game, tied 3, and then they won their tournament. So another impressive run there for them again this year. Varsity boys soccer continued to improve, had some postseason recognition with Jack Massey, who was selected first team Bull Run District and first team all conference. Nick Strohsteiner was selected second team Bull Run District, and Michael Reed was selected second team all conference. Jonathan Jenkins, second team all conference, and Jack Massey was honorable mention for Region 1A East. Varsity girls soccer, Julia Estes was selected as second team Bull Run District and second team for conference. Varsity softball, Olivia Atkins was second team Bull Run District and also second team all conference. Abby McCleary made first team all conference. Brianna Settle made second team all conference. And Abby McCleary also made second team all region for 1A East. Varsity baseball had some postseason recognition as well, with Ryan Atkins and Brett Midfield both being selected to the second team all conference. Then we get to track. So now we're going to go 3 for 3 on state champions for our season. Where Gavin Jenkins was crowned with 2 more state championships in the 800 meter and the 1600 meter run. And then Skylar Culbertson had 1600 meter state runner-up. Julia Estes was third in the 100 meter hurdles. Jessica Thorne was third in the high jump. AJ Palmer was third in the discus. Then all-state track recognition was Gavin Jenkins, Skylar Culbertson, Julia Estes, Jessica Thorne, and AJ Palmer. So I think that's pretty 3 impressive seasons for our athletes. And then Julia also received a couple other awards this year also. The first one was back in the fall, where we can nominate athletes based on their achievements over their career. And then she was selected as a Student Athlete Achievement Award winner, sponsored by this Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. So she had a display case set up with all of her accolades over the last 3.5 years at the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame Museum the month of February, which was pretty impressive. And also she was selected the Virginia High School League 1A Female Athlete of the Year. Some accolades here. We'll have 3 of our student athletes going to continue their careers on the college level. Kayla Roby's going to be playing volleyball at Shenandoah University. Jack Massey's going to be playing football at Shenandoah. And then Gavin Jenkins got a full ride to VMI to run. So it's pretty remarkable there as well. And then last week we had our end of the year awards. We can go ahead and go to the next slide. Nope, I've already covered all of our state champions. So we'll go ahead and move through this one. End of the year awards we did male athlete of the year was Gavin Jenkins. Female athlete of the year for the 3rd consecutive year was Julia Estes. The Rap News Scholar Athlete was Jack Massey. The Sportsmanship Award was Justin Ramey. The Neil Burke Award was Jessica Thorne. The Unsung Hero Award was Cameron Whalen. And the Impact Coach of the Year was Courtney Atkins. So, pretty impressive year for sports, and I think we'll continue to build on our success next year. So, any questions? Or thank you. They did a good job. I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Day.
Hearing all those names, I'm just thinking, next year's going to be interesting. My name is Ashley Day, and I'm currently serving as the school's athletic trainer for the high school and elementary school sports, or middle school sports. I am contracted through Valley Health, so I come here in the afternoons covering sporting events, practices, different various tasks, all related to the sporting department. And every year we are asked to create 2 goals for ourselves. Quantitative goals, obtainable, achievable. And normally people, just make average goals. You're going to make them, you're going to set them. So I decided to make the Safe Sports School Award one of my goals this year, and quantified that as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 being the best, receiving a Team 1 honorary mention from the National Athletic Trainers Association. And I brought this to Mr. Burley, Mr. Tupper, Mr. Swindler, and I was like, look guys, we already do all of this. Let's just put it on paper and show that we do it, and document it, and see what we get from the award. Mary is not here tonight, but Mary is also the director of our facility that does all the contract work between Rappahannock and Valley Health. So the Safe Sports School Award is a National Athletic Trainers Association. It is only for secondary schools, public and private. You do have to apply, and it is a $150 application fee to apply for the award. And I want to read a little bit from the background and information statement from the award. Despite its obvious benefits, physical activity, especially competitive sports, is not without risk. Brain injury or concussions, cardiac arrest, devastating heat illness, exertional sickling, cervical spine fractures, and other injuries and illnesses are all serious and potentially life-threatening. According to information gathered by the National Athletic Trainers Association, as many as 100 secondary school athletes die per year, the majority from sudden cardiac arrest. Risk is not limited to 1 or 2 sports. Athletes may be injured or become ill while cheerleading or in marching band as well. Most commonly playing soccer, football, volleyball, basketball, or lacrosse. Fortunately, risk can be minimized by proper planning and without proper equipment and personnel. Without that, injuries and medical conditions will impact the lives of athletes and their families and may be costly in terms of time lost from school, jobs, and medical visits. In 2009, athletes aged from 5 to 14 years accounted for almost 40% of all sports-related injuries treated in hospitals, with the severity of the injury increasing with the age of the participant. While emergency medical care and event coverage are critical components of sports safety, the ideal standard goes beyond that to compromise other health services. Fortunately, schools can institute plans and procedures through a series of relatively simple steps, and the National Athletic Trainers Association wants to do its part to encourage the highest degree of safety for student athletes. To recognize the effort of schools that take action NATA will award its prestigious Safe Sports School Award to schools that represent their athletic programs meet the criteria described below. This normally takes over a year to prepare. Next slide, Robin. So I met with the administrators at the high school at the beginning of December. We were also able to apply for a scholarship that funded 50% of the cost, and we did receive that funding from the Mid-Atlantic Athletic Trainers Association. And then we sat down and we made a list of everything we needed to change or make adjustments to, and kind of recap of where we wanted to be for the application process. We then met again in February and we submitted the application in March. And then these are the objectives, and I'm going to read these really quickly because I should have made that bigger. I apologize. Create a positive athletic healthcare administration system. Provide or coordinate pre-participation physical examinations. Promote safe and appropriate practice in competition facilities. Plan for selection, fit, function, and proper maintenance of athletic equipment. Provide a permanent, appropriately equipped area to evaluate and treat injured athletes. Develop injury and illness prevention strategies, including protocols for environmental conditions. Provide or facilitate intervention. Create and rehearse venue-specific emergency action plans. Provide or facilitate psychosocial consultation and nutritional counseling or education. And be sure that athletes and parents are educated of the potential benefits and risks in sports as well as their responsibilities. So it's a total of 62 objectives that we had to meet and prove that we were doing that. We had to make some changes to our preseason coaches meeting, and that's something that we installed last winter, where the coaches would come in and we would meet with them before their teams even started. The preseason team meeting where parents and students are required, or athletes are required to attend. There were venue-specific emergency action plans. We have a action plan for every sporting venue now for our high school, with maps and details and location of emergency equipment. The sports medicine policy and procedure manual is still under construction. I apologize for not getting that done yet. And that's something we're going to have to meet annually with our administration to make sure it's still up to date and current, as well as our Washington Volunteer Fire and Rescue. And then last but not least, we had to make some revisions to the athletic handbook for educational purposes for parents. So, without further ado, we did receive first team. So second team means that we would have missed some of the qualifications, but we were able to prove that we did all of these. So this will keep going into our gym. What's that?
You put it in the gym?
Sure. Yeah, I think so.
You know, I don't know why, but I just feel safer when I see you at an event. I don't even know why. I just believe. Oh, she's here. Well done.
Thank you.
So you put that together in 6 months, basically.
Yeah, from December to March. Yeah, thank you.
Any questions?
Good job.
Good job.
Wonderful.
Think about so much, that guy's taking that out. Great staff.
Big board decision to,
Sure was.
We have school nutrition menu pricing for 2017 and 2018, and our Director of Finance will talk about that, Ms. Wick.
I remember this presentation last year.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same.
I remember being told, this is what you're gonna charge.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Well, am I
So we're
doing
doing the whole thing again.
What?
Because we are part of the National School Lunch Program, we have to submit an application to be part of it. And in the application, we have to do a paid lunch equity tool, which they send us. So they base it off of our meals bought in October, high school, elementary school, and adult prices. And then They take it, the amount of meals we sold times what we're charging now and figure out what we should be charging next year. So they tell us all that, we don't get really choice. But this year we didn't have to do a huge increase. So I was able to make it so that our children won't get an increase at all this year. I just put the raise on the adult meal prices, so those will go up 10 cents.
That should be a headline in the paper, you know, no
Yeah.
food increase.
They are worth it. So that's the way we were able to keep it so that they won't have to have that cost increase every year. We just put it on the adult prices and it balanced everything out. So that's what
Is
we'll
this
be doing.
information, or does it take board action?
Does it,
Is this board action, or just information?
just information, they don't really have a choice.
No, sure.
It is what it is.
I've received some reports from some young people that they actually.
Well,
like
I
the
don't
food,
think we
so
actually
that's-
voted anything because
Yeah.
it's,
Not all.
that's what they.
Well, they've
said
had
that
some new
week,
changes
so
down there,
They've had
so
a lot.
it's been good, and those will keep going.
Well, I guess we could.
It's a great value. Thanks, Steve. All right. I guess we're ready to move on, yes? Headwaters representatives, their report?
Yes, of course. Dr. Blair came to the last meeting on May 15th and talked about the new security measures being implemented, as well as the CARE program for increasing literacy in preschool children. Headwaters is interested and asked many questions and are exploring ways to get involved. They've already contacted the Rappahannock Library and are eager to join with the schools and the library to make the program happen. So that would be good. That's it. Thank you, Kevin.
Mountain Vista?
We did, we met, Wednesday? One of the ones, last week. We approved the budget for next year. There's, October 14th, there's a, October 14th for trivia. Yeah, trivia, chili night and trivia at Buckfield High School. And so maybe by then we can get a team together and do a little trivia stuff. Pleased to say that we're up to 10 kids. When I started on the board, we had 2, I believe. Now we're at 10. Kara Haverly took a 3rd place in the Mountain Vista Governor's School Science Fair. She also was awarded the Outstanding Research for Virginia Junior Academy of Sciences and Virginia Wyatt, the Outstanding Research for the gold medal. Those are our senior accomplishments.
And the letters that we sent out from the board to students, right?
Yes, we did.
What were those letters
For their acceptance
The
for
acceptance
next
for-
year.
for next year.
The 10th graders for next year.
for? Right.
We have 4, is that right? 4 new ones for next year.
Great.
Cool, and then there's also, for anybody that's interested, there's a demographics chart for Mountain Vista Elementary School. How many kids? Huh?
I don't like demographics.
Well, I mean, it tells you how many kids from each county.
How many
Whatever.
Going out. All right.
Numbers.
We all got a belly button. All right. All right, moving on to public comments. Anybody like to address the board this evening? Anybody? Yes, Kevin.
Good evening. I am Kevin Brandreth. I'm from the Wakefield District, and I'm also the Director of Headwaters. I am up here to personally invite members of the school board, as well as the school committee and the community at large, to join Headwaters for a concert featuring the students of the 2017 Summer Chorus on Thursday evening, June 29th at 5:30 at the elementary school. The Summer Chorus will begin rehearsals this Monday, June 19th, and will rehearse every day, except for the coming Friday, from 12:15 to 5 p.m., both in preparation for this concert and to study further the choral arts. Our current roster of singers includes students from the high school and elementary school, as well as our friends at Hearthstone School. Our music staff includes one friend from the community whom I was introduced to a few weeks ago, and one long-term friend in the community who's helped lift this chorus over the past year. And I have a final friend of mine, personal friend from New Jersey, who's coming in to participate, and she's really excited about doing a chorus program here in Rappahannock County after all the great things I've told her about the community. It's truly a community endeavor, and it is possible through the generous support of the Claudia Mitchell Fund at RAC, our community's patron of the arts. Thanks also to Mrs. Ellis and the Rappahannock County Elementary School for allowing us to have summer chorus at the school during what I know is still a very busy time for you folks. So thank you very much for that. As I said before, the concert will be held on Thursday evening, June 29th at 5:30 at the elementary school. It is a great opportunity to see yet again the talent of our community's young people. We hope that the school board and many members of the community can join us on June 29th at 5:30. And by the way, we still have room for students. So if you know of any Rappahannock County resident who would be entering the 5th grade to the 12th grade who loves to sing, please send them our way. The directors have chosen a diverse repertoire, so it's going to be a fun experience for the singers and for the adults involved. Scholarships are still available, so please encourage any musical middle school or high school student that you know to join the 2017 Summer Chorus. Thank you.
That was exciting, Kevin. If you could have sung it, then you were that close. Thanks for sharing. That sounds exciting. 12:15 to 5, that's a lot of singing.
What's that?
12:15 to 5.
Couple breaks in between.
Couple breaks. Yeah. Excellent. Anybody else? All right, moving on. I entertain a motion for the approval of the VSBA policy updates that were tabled from the May meeting.
So moved.
We have a motion, Ms. Johnson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Meyer. Is there any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. So moved. A motion concerning the approval of the federal program applications as presented this evening. Second. We have a motion from Mr. Grove, second Mr. Rubin. Any discussion? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed, no. So ordered. Is there any new business? Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
So one thing was on my mind. I wanted to thank Mr. Tupper and the team for a great graduation service. Smashed it. It was 96 minutes, so I didn't bet on the length of it, by the way. I don't know who won that, but it was a great
Somebody
ceremony.
ran down here right there.
And it takes a team. Mr. Tuck pulled that off. I know you know that, but it was well done. So, the thing everybody's wanting to know is, what's the superintendent search look like? Well, I'm here to announce within the next 15 days, according to our policy, within the next 15 days, we'll be holding interviews at non-disclosed location at a non-mentioned time. So you know nothing more than you did, except that within the next 15 days, according to policy, we'll be interviewing 3 finalists. So we started out with a pool of 8. We're down to 3 finalists that we'll be interviewing. The way the process works, interviews will conclude, the board will have a discussion, they will choose the top candidate. We then begin a negotiation with the top candidate. Usually that goes well, but I've also had it go south, and then you have to return to the table and have a discussion again. So I would say with great confidence we were going to return to you in July having concluded this whole cycle, but I have no way of knowing that. So our hope still is that we would return at the July meeting with a superintendent candidate that's ready to sign a contract. But we can't say that with confidence. So I've made the announcement. That's what's required by our policy. And I think that's all I need to say. Questions? Anything that I missed? We good? No. Non-disclosed location, non-disclosed times. And the thing that's the reason it has to be announced, obviously, is the board doesn't do that ever. It's something that's precluded from doing, except for this situation. If we do negotiate well, then things will start to become more visible as far as introducing successful candidates to the school, and things will probably start leaking out probably before then. Our next school board meeting will actually be June the 30th. At what time? 8 a.m. on the Friday. 8 a.m. on Friday. So, is it you three?
You're here?
Yeah. All right, 8 a.m. at the school board office on June the 30th. We have to have a quorum, which means all three. Yes? We were not in the state. All right. It's June 30th, and that's an open meeting where the books are closed for the year. It's Stacy's favorite day of the year. So she'll be pulling her hair out for like the week before that and then the whole day afterwards. 8 a.m. on the 30th, and then July the 11th will be our next regular school.
Just for the public, that's the school board office.
School board office Friday, June 30th. And then July. 8 a.m. 7:30 if you want to take.
You want coffee?
Coffee, well, some treats for you. All right, so at this time, we're going to take a break. We're planning to reconvene in the closed session. There'll be no actions coming out of the closed session. And then we will come out of closed session and adjourn and go.